Or Mr. Aiken? That was Mr.
Here on special appearance in Vine.
All right, well, we'll talk about that here. This is file number, what's that?
Here on special appearance in the Divine and Living.
Okay, could you hand that? Well, first let me call the case. This is file number 222036SM. Back to you, you don't want to lose this. This is a birth certificate for Justin Michael Aiken. He happens to be the person that got this citation, Justin Michael Aiken. I don't want to keep that. I don't want you to lose it. You need it. Anyway, that's you. Mr. Aiken, you're here under one appearance or another. You got a citation charging with having no insurance. The last lady had the same charge. That's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail, fine of up to $500 and not less than $200. The second count is the one that carries a driving suspension. That's called driving suspended. That's a misdemeanor punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. That carries 2 points and it requires that your license be suspended. So that could affect your ability to drive a car. And then the third count is a registration plate violation, which is a civil infraction.
Buckle up, because what you're about to witness is peak sovereign citizen theater. Our defendant today, Justin Aiken, walks into court convinced he's not just above the law, but somehow outside of it entirely. From citing outdated court cases to presenting his birth certificate like it's a magic shield, Justin's about to find out that fantasy law doesn't stand a chance against a judge who's been hearing these arguments since before sovereign TikTokers were even born. We'll hear buzzwords like common law, living man, and right to travel. But this judge? Oh, he's locked in, loaded with real legal knowledge, and not afraid to hit back hard. Stick around because this case has everything. Sovereign delusions, hilarious legal rebuttals, and a brutal reality check from a judge who's seen...
What was your advice, Ms. Jackson?
I advised him that he should plead not guilty, ask for a pretrial, and pay off what is suspending him, which is basically a couple of tickets of leave out of Greenwich County. See if he can't get some reduction on that charge.
That's not bad advice. Mr. Aiken, she's recommending at this point that you plead not guilty, and I don't have a problem with that. Your driving record shows that you had some previous insurance tickets that you didn't pay. And then she indicates you may also have some things from Indiana. The staff has been talking with you. They say you're very polite and respectful, but may not completely understand everything. Your driving record shows that you are currently suspended. You have cold water, March of 22, failed to comply with judgment. That means you didn't pay the ticket. And so her advice is probably pretty good. What would you like to do, sir?
Well, there's case laws here that states that the use of an automobile as necessary to the earnings of a livelihood as modern life requires use in the interest of realism to conclude the right to use as an automobile on the public highways partakes of nature.
Where reality starts setting in. The judge lays it out, clearly 3. Charges real consequences, and no amount of sovereign word salad will erase them. Justin's facing up to a year in jail and fines that could pile up faster than his Google search history of fringe legal theories. What makes this moment powerful? Is the judge's calm but firm tone? He's not just throwing legal terms. He's educating while warning. Sovereign citizens often think quoting obscure laws overrides the state's actual code, but the gavel doesn't swing on vibes.
Of a liberty within the meaning of the constitutional guarantees, Barbarian versus Luzier, 1958, 139A2D, 869, and then the right to operate a automobile upon the public streets and highways is not a mere privilege. It is a right of a liberty, the enjoyment of which is protected by the guarantees of the federal and state constitutions. Adam versus City of the Pocatello, 416 P.2D, 46, 4891, Idaho, 99, 1966. And a traveler has an equal right to employ an automobile as a means of transportation and to occupy the public highways with other vehicles in common use. Campbell versus Walker, 78, Atlanta, 601, 603, 2, Boyce, Dell.
Justin's quoting court decisions like he's casting. Spells Adam v. Pocatello, Campbell v. Walker, like these rulings, grant him immunity from license and insurance laws. The irony. Most of these cases are either misinterpreted or completely irrelevant. The judge, ever the professional, hears him out, then slices through the nonsense like a samurai with a statute book. This is textbook sovereign strategy, Barry. The courtroom in jargon and hope someone blinks, but this judge, not flinching.
Persons on high American Mutual Liability Insurance Code versus Chaput 60A.2 D2, 118. Motor vehicle. The term motor vehicle means every description of the carriage or otherwise convenience propelled or drawn by mechanical power and used for commercial purposes on the highway. The term used for commercial purposes means the carriage or a person or property for any fare, fee, rate, charge, or other considerations, or directly or indirectly in connection with any business or other undertakings intended for profit. A motor vehicle or automobile for hire is a motor vehicle other than an automobile stage used for the transportation of persons, which remuneration is received. International Motor Transit Code versus Seattle 251P120.
So does that mean you want to plead not guilty to this stuff?
Yes.
All right.
Because
I don't know if there's a club, you pay dues. As I said, the staff said you've been very polite and respectful, but you are woefully misinformed. People keep...
I have one more thing.
well, anyway, everything you just said has no meaning to whether or not you need a valid driver's license or insurance in the state of Michigan. And the problem is, Mr. Aiken, you could take all this misinformation and really get yourself...
The judge sees something in Justin. Not just delusion, but potential. And he's trying to save him from himself. Going to need to live $2.99 to get your license back. That line isn't just clever. It's a wake-up call. Too often, sovereign citizens don't realize they're not just playing legal dress-up. They're wrecking their futures, one citation at a time. This judge is throwing a lifeline, not just a lecture, but will Justin grab?
In a difficult circumstance. I don't know who's teaching you this, whether you learned it yourself off the internet or you've got a mentor that is taking you down this rabbit hole, but I don't want you to get yourself in a situation where you're going to have to live to be 99 years old to get your driver's license back. So first of all, Mr. Jackson's advice that you pay the ticket in Branch County would be helpful. Everything you just said has a thimbles full, an empty thimbles full worth of effect on anything. Your driver's license is suspended by the state of Michigan. You can...
Another sovereign citizen citing 18th century Supreme Court decisions as if they're ENO reverse cards. But what makes this moment wild is the contrast. The judge isn't angry. He's tired. Tired of the misinformation, tired of YouTube legal experts, tired of watching young men like Justin get dragged deeper into legal quicksand. This isn't a clash of ideologies, it's a slow emotion crash into consequences. And Justin, he's still flooring the
insurance. I don't want you to get all sideways, but you can't get your license back from following this irrelevant information that you've been provided with. You seem like a nice young man. So I'm going to show you a plea not guilty. Would you give Mr. Aiken his birth certificate back? I don't want him to lose that. Now, you said there was something else you wanted to tell me?
Yes, if that's okay, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, states right here, under U.S. Supreme Court decision, that common law is the real law, the supreme law of the land, that codes, rules, regulations, policy, and statutes are not the law. So therefore, as an insurance, regulations, title, tags are not law. That's as it's stated here, Rodriguez versus Ray Donovan, U.S. Department of Labor, 1769.
The judge is still offering Justin a way out. That's rare grace in a courtroom filled with delusions. He's not slamming the gavel, he's building a bridge. Pay your old tickets, get your license back. Stop citing God's law, and start following the one that governs your state. The fact that the judge repeats Miss Jackson's advice 3 times, that's not an accident. It's a plea for reason. Will it work? Or is Justin already too far down the road?
48, 1985. And then U.S. Supreme Court decision 1796. There, every man is independent of all laws except those prescribed by nature. He is not bound by any institutions formed by his fellow men without his consent. Cruden versus Neal. And this decision has never been overturned.
I'm not sure where you get this stuff. If that were true, you wouldn't need me, you wouldn't need police, you'd have anarchy and people rioting in the streets and doing, we're about there now. People do whatever they feel like. If somebody says something they don't like, they shoot them. Somebody says something they don't like, they punch them in the nose. They feel like everybody else's property is their property. Something here in the United States, here in Michigan and here in St. Joe County called the rule of law. And the judges don't make the laws, the legislature does, the judges. So at this point, somebody gave you all this information which doesn't really affect anything, and it isn't a legitimate defense. You're entitled to have it. You're entitled to be misinformed, and you're entitled to believe what you want. You're entitled to have a trial in front of 6 jurors. This isn't even, that stuff won't even get to a jury. The only question would be, did you have insurance and were you driving on the driving suspended merry-go-round and you'd be unable to get off of it? Whoever is giving you this information is doing you a terrible disservice. You got these tickets in other jurisdictions that you didn't pay. Now you're suspended. How'd you get here today?
I got a ride. Somebody gave me a ride.
All right. Well, don't drive anymore till we sort this out. I would like to see you get on the right side of having a driver's license. This stuff is not helpful. It doesn't aid your cause. It has little meaning. And the bottom line is you need to have a valid driver's license.
Justin now draws a sharp line between legal and God's law, claiming the former undoes the latter. This moment is revealing not because it's right, but because it shows how deeply rooted this ideology is. To Justin, this isn't just about traffic quartet's spiritual warfare. But here's the kicker. Even after another round of sovereign theory, the judge keeps his cool, offering one final adult solution: file a motion. Sadly, Justin chooses to double down. And at this point, you know he's not here to win. He's here to prove a point. Even if it costs
guilty, send you out to the court office. We'll have a pretrial. You can share your thoughts and beliefs with the prosecutor. It'll probably just make them mad. But Miss Jackson's advice is a good one. If you can go get the tickets paid off, get your license available to get, they may give you some consideration. But you live in Constantine, which is a little place.
Right.
Every time you drive, they're going to pull you over again.
Yes,
We're going to be on the merry-go-round and we won't be able to get off of it. So, like I said, you've always been polite and respectful, and you're entitled to believe what you want, but this isn't helpful to your cause. So,
the sovereign showdown ends not with a bang, but a stubborn fade-out. Justin walks away, still clinging to fantasy law, while the judge stands firm in the reality of Michigan statutes. It's a tale as old as YouTube's sovereign citizens thinking they've cracked the legal code, only to find out it doesn't bend to Google theories. But behind the theatrics is a lesson. The law may be complex, but it's not optional. As this judge proves, a little patience, a lot of knowledge, and a refusal to entertain nonsense go a long way in keeping the system.
why don't you take him out to the counter? Now, what's going to happen next? And I apologize. Once upon a time, we used to do the pretrial right here at the time of the arraignment. But with county cases, we're not able to do that presently. Are you missing work right now?
No, not right now.
Okay, good. I don't want you to have to take time off from work to come back here, but we'll talk further about this. And if you want a trial, you're ultimately entitled to have one. My hope is you could get some of this stuff squared away and the prosecutor will give you some consideration to help you get your valid license. But when you were young, you took driver's ed, you did all the steps you needed to do to get a valid license?
Correct. I did then. That was before I actually started researching into law, actual common law of the United States of America, which is common law, God's law. Legal is undoing.
Well, I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. I've been here for 42 years, and people have been making these harebrained arguments for years, and they don't carry any weight. And I'm sorry that you have gone down this path, but it isn't going to be beneficial. And the better, you went to all the effort to get a driver's license. Don't throw it away because of some mistaken beliefs about something that was